Hello, I'm Kevin Hong. I'm a partner at LYC Partners, an executive search and leadership advisory firm. I'm also the co-founder of The Council, a private network for senior executives. And this is Leaders in Motion. Today, I'm joined by a leader whose career has truly spanned continents and disciplines. Fabien Dumont is the Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at Autoliv, the world leader in automotive safety. Over his 27-year journey with the company, Fabien has gone from quality management in France to leading operations and engineering across China, managing teams of thousands and helping transform Autoliv's China business into a model of local innovation and global alignment. Fabien, I'm thrilled to have you on the show for our audience. Can you please introduce yourself and share a bit about your journey?
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Really appreciate it, and it's a real great pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, I've spent my whole career with Autoliv, starting in France and then moving in China 20 years ago in 2005. Over the years, I've held roles in operations, engineering, and now as the CTO. My focus has always been on building teams, driving technology transfer, and fostering collaboration between local and global teams. I'm very much passionate about how China's automotive sector has evolved and how leadership styles must adapt to keep pace with such an amazing change. I'm looking forward to sharing some of those lessons with you today.
What we want to dive into today are the major decisions and factors that led you to this role. What do you think were the key decisions you made throughout your career that brought you to this position?
First of all, I do believe that life is a matter of people. That's the first thing. Okay, I believe very much in people, and I believe very much in the people you meet through your career. That include your leadership, your management, but also your team. And I was very much lucky back in 2005. I was back in France, and I was very close to the management team at that time, and I expressed the willingness to move overseas. I was traveling quite a lot. Also, at that time, my wife was working in a famous travel agency that allowed me to be able to travel a lot already. And I asked if any opportunities were available overseas. And 2 weeks after, the head of Europe came to me with this proposal to move to China. And I have never been to Asia before. I traveled a lot, but not in Asia. A lot in Europe, a lot in America, a lot in South America, but never in Asia. So it was my first time to Asia, and when the proposal came, I said yes immediately, without hesitation. So I remember very well. Okay. It was a Friday evening, 8:30 p.m. French time. Okay, so quite late back in France, but I say yes immediately. And the head of Europe asked me if I was married, if I have kids. I say yes, I'm married, I have a daughter. So he told me, talk to your wife and come back to me Monday, 8 a.m., which I did. And I say yes to go to China. So that's definitely the game changer of my career.
Okay, so 2004, 2005, an opportunity to move to China with your family. And for what position, what was the responsibility that you had to take in China?
In France, I was quality manager for family of product in my plant. Okay, I was reporting to the quality director of the plant, and the position offered at that time was operation manager. Okay, operation manager with the main task to set up a brand new plant from a white piece of paper. Okay, in the south of Shanghai at the time. So it was just the right time, the right moment to do the right thing. So.
Was it common at that time to have foreigners or expats sent to China? And were you the youngest or the only one? How was it?
Very good question. I asked the same thing afterwards. Usually I'm very fast, so I usually take decisions very, very fast, and I ask questions after that could happen. That will happen for that case, and I was the third one in China.
Okay.
Two people at working level as well were over there from Europe, starting to help our company in China to develop further. So I was one of the first one, basically, one of the first one over there. It was very common in my company to have expats in Japan because we got a merge in '96. So we have a lot of Americans being in Japan. We have few Germans being in Romania at that time, but otherwise, rather than this, it was not so common.
And from that point forward, would you say that your career naturally took off in China because of the economic growth, or were there specific decisions you made that ensured that you could grow, get promoted, and get more opportunities and exposure?
So I'm definitely a pure product from the China growth. Okay, that's one of the first enabler. Okay, the visibility I started to have personally as an employee to the top management being in China has been just amazing. So you have CEO visiting every quarter. You have executive vice president visiting every other week. You have huge exposure to all the company. So that's the first thing. Second, given the fact that also the growth in China, okay, opportunities were every year you could almost have an opportunity actually, and this is where performance has been important and execution, because I have been able to perform and execute, I would say, quite well along my career, and those performance open up quite few doors along all that time. Now, coming back on other decisions, I have been proposed many challenges that I have almost always accepted. So I have been quite open to take new challenge along my career. I think I got in China. I've been in China for 20 years, and that's my job number 8 in China.
Right. And would you say that you said yes to every opportunity and that's why you get to where you are? Or did you face difficult decisions and moment of dilemma where you choose to refuse an opportunity and that turned out to be a bad or a good decision too?
At the first beginning, so it was very easy to say yes, given the growth. Okay, then once I say no, the first time I say no, it was I think back in 2013-14 when we wanted to merge all the operational role. Okay, and I didn't think that it was the right thing to do at that time, given the growth that we have and the development that we needed to have when it comes to people and growth of the team. So I think that the focus, having still focus, was very important, and eventually this decision also has been a very good one for the growth of Autoliv China. So it's a bit a mix of both, Kevin. You're absolutely right. But again, growth is definitively helping. Okay, performance has been helping. Relationship has been helping. Okay, I've been through different leaders in my career, local and global, and those relationships with those people have been always very important. Having also putting always also the company and the global needs in front of any local or personal decision has been also quite important. So showing that nobody is above the company has been one of my value, and that helped me a lot through my career.
You're touching on an interesting point. This is the type of challenge I hear a lot when it comes to local leaders dealing with global companies and global headquarters. How do you find the right balance between the company's interest, your career, and the local market and team? Have you ever faced a situation where you weren't making the right call, where you put your career or region before your company's interest?
The first one would be maybe it's not happening as such. Okay, you don't come and you don't say I want this for me or for China versus global. That's not happening like this. It's just that's what I call misalignment. Okay, everybody wants to do the right things. I believe in people, and I believe that people have good faith. Okay, that's what I believe. Now, the way you express yourself or the way you communicate might not be always the optimum one. Okay, and this is where you see lack of alignment between global and local. After the Olympic Games in 2008, okay, we have seen quite new needs, okay, from China. And in China, when you have such events, it creates quite a lot of turbulences around. Okay, it was not easy to move goods, for instance, during the games for safety and security reasons. Okay, and so after the game, I started to propose because I've been through the game. It was extremely painful for us. We could not get goods as planned. We were close to a stop manufacturing a few times due to those reasons, and just after, so we propose from China to increase the, I would say, the vertical integration of those specific products in China, and we came a bit emotionally to the global team, okay, and I was part of this emotional people because I've been through the pain of that experience. So eventually it took us a couple of years to be able to convince the executive team and the board to make it happen. So, but again, the reason here is not that back in the days we wanted to have China to be in front of global. It was just the way to explain it was not the appropriate one, and that's very often what happened, Kevin. It's just a misalignment or miscommunication of a common goal.
Would you say that more often than not, local leaders struggle more than expats to align with headquarters or global strategy? Or do expats have an advantage when it comes to alignment, or is that no longer the case?
If you look at China today, many of the foreigners in China today have been in China for many years. Okay, so 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So we accommodate very well to the local coutumes, I would say. Okay, and that's why we could stay here so long. Okay, but regardless if you are, wherever you come from, I think that the culture understanding is always very critical. Okay, whatever you're Chinese, Japanese, American, Swedish, French, German, whatsoever, as soon as you work with someone that is different than you, then you need to be able to understand the culture, such as you can have the proper communication. If you are German coming from Europe, moving to China, and if you come to China trying to work in a German way, you will not succeed. Okay. If you are Chinese and if you go to Europe, okay, and if you try to work in a Chinese way, you will not succeed. Okay. And today, one of my biggest challenge, okay, is to be able to bring the good practices from China in a global manner, and it's not easy because the culture is very different. So that's why the understanding of the culture and being able to work with the right level of communication is very much key, and regardless where you are coming from, Kevin. So that's a reflection that I had through the time, is that this understanding is very, very important, very, very critical.
So when you first went to China, you brought global know-how to the local markets. Now you're bringing Chinese know-how and technology back to the global stage. Is that right?
Yeah. So most of the time when we send expats, it's to bring technical know-how or to bring culture. That's what we say. Okay. And China has been a follower for many, many years. We were up to almost 50 expats late in the year 2000. And we are now very few foreigners in China because we can find very capable skill set here in China without any problem today. And when you merge the China culture, when you merge the China way of working, and when you merge the China market all together, it has made automotive in China the best today in the world. And indeed, when you look at performance here in China has been following the ecosystem. The ecosystem here is completely different. Okay, it's not a matter of Autoliv or not. It's all the ecosystem is that way. So the customers, through the customer down to tier 5, 6, or 7. Okay, so we've been pulled up by all that ecosystem, and today we are now in a process absolutely to we say yokoten in our language, so to copy paste the best practices that we have here in China in a global manner.
I guess when it comes to culture, receiving global best practices from China
must be a culture shock for headquarters. China is moving very fast while Western markets move more slowly. And 15 years isn't that long to absorb this reverse technology transfer. How do you see that?
You have two kind of people, okay? You have the people that still think that what take us here will take us there, okay? And you have the people that understand that what has made us successful in the past will not make us successful in the future, okay? So for the second category of people, it's very easy to receive feedback from somewhere else, okay? And to move forward with those great ideas. And when you merge, again, the great knowledge, know-how, culture that we have in Europe, in the US, or in Japan, or in Korea, with the new way of working that we are bringing from China, you obtain tremendous result. Okay, and now definitively we're also facing a certain group of people that are not willing to change, and of course that's what we are dealing on daily basis, and we are helping those people to understand how critical it is to change. And it starts also by our customers. Customers too, they are very much willing to understand what's happening in China. And anytime I will meet an OEM, the fact that I've been in China for 20 years will be definitively part of the agenda, and I will be asked to share what I'm seeing on a daily basis here in this country.
Do you see culture as an accelerator or a challenge when it comes to accepting this reality? Does it vary by culture? Is it easier with Swedish, German, or French companies? How do you see that?
It's definitely easier in Asia, okay? The culture of the customer is different, okay? In Asia, customer comes always first, okay? People are also more humble, but that's the Asian culture. So it's always, I will say that Asian countries are putting more information than the rest of the world. That's definitively a fact that I can see. Okay, but again, it's linked to the culture, Kevin. Okay, we'll say that the Asian people are more humble than the Western people. Then after, you can see that growing country. Okay, growing country are also more demanding, and we are seeing now a complete change from also our traditional ones. Okay, that are also buying much more for the need to change, and that's a very positive change that I'm seeing in the entire company today.
You've touched on culture, which connects to another important topic: relationships. I think this is one of the key factors that brought you to where you are today. To what extent have relationships, both internal and external, helped or challenged your career growth? How would you define the relationships you've built across your career?
So China is a what we call it relationship-based culture, right? So it's way easier to meet top leaders in China than it is in the rest of the world. Okay, since many years, even when I was before the vice president for engineering for China, I could meet chairmen, I could meet CEOs, I could meet CTOs on a daily basis. Anytime I was going to see a local OEM, it is not the same at all in the JVs or in the when I go to visit the Western world. Okay, so this is something that is very different. That's the first thing. So it allows early work, and it allows better partnership, I would say. And the reason why is because we can build plans earlier together, okay, rather than to have this transactional relationship. Okay, you have an early relationship that allow you to understand what goals the customer wants and how can you feel better and how can you support this goal early in the value chain. Then being located here, okay, I mentioned how the relationship with the head office has been always important. You often over communicate to make sure that misalignment does not exist. So that allow me to be systematically and always in connection with the different leaders that I was working with consistently. And that was true in operations, it's true in quality, and it's true in engineering. So definitively a key, something very, very important in my career. I'm not saying that, it has been it has been key for me to become the CTO of the company, okay? But without those relationships, okay, downstream and upstream, you won't be able to achieve your goals, okay? So working closely and cross-functionally has been always very critical and very important for me to be able to achieve success. Not personally, but as a team, which will give me personal success afterwards.
How did you realize that in recruiting? We rarely find people with technical or operational background who prioritize communication and relationships over technical skills and performance. How did you learn that focusing on these was also important?
I think I did mention at the beginning that it starts with people, okay? And it's true in my personal life, okay? And it's true in my business life. One major difference is that I had in my career, okay? When I was plant manager, so I was quite strong, okay? I was very good to my team. So, and my team was quite large at that time. It was a team of 1,000 people, okay? It was our biggest plant in China at that time. And so I was very good to my team. I was very strong to the others. And when other department, other functions could not support me, then I will take the lead. Okay, rather than to give them the chance and the time to succeed, I will basically go over them and do partial their job, such as I can achieve the result that was required for my plant. When you have such behavior, you will get result until you reach an asymptote because nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to help you. Okay, so you become the best here and there, but you cannot reach more than this one because there is so much that you can do with your own people. Okay, so that was, I remember, in 2012. Okay, in 2012, I understood that this way of working was good for the short term, but will not bring any added value for the midterm and long term for the area that I will be managing. Okay, and therefore I changed completely my way of working, where now I became much more embracing and working much more with others. So what I was applying to my old team, I have started to apply to the overall organization. Okay, it's a bit slower. It is a bit slower. Okay, because you have to compromise and you have to communicate much more, but it's definitively a winner when it comes to overtime.
Very interesting. As we mentioned, relationships are important, but many leaders and managers focus heavily on results. To what extent has your career been based on performance and results? And on the other side, to what extent are the relationships you've built? For context, we've been discussing with different leaders and experts who at some point struggled in the job market when performance wasn't there. For you, as someone who thrived and became CTO, to what extent was performance important?
It's a very good question. Performance, I think that performance is an enabler. And when you go up in the organization, influence and the way that you are working with others becomes much, much more critical. Much, much more critical. So this is where relationship kicks in maybe even more, because to be able to move a bigger boat takes different skill set than just to perform. Okay, and the performance you want to have has to be a sustainable performance. Almost anyone can perform for a couple of years. Okay, now having sustainable performance over decades, okay, over 5 years or a decade, requires different skill set, different type of decision, and influence and relationship then kicks in and becomes very, very important, such as we can get the proper level of performance on longer run.
Interesting. Do you feel decisions have affected your performance throughout your career? Sometimes it's about deciding to challenge headquarters, adopting new technology, acquiring new customers, or opening new markets. Do you feel career and performance have been shaped by a few key decisions you made, or that was not necessarily the case?
One of the things that when you are at this level of the company, so the most important thing that you have to do is to take decision. Okay, that's what is complicated a bit when you arrive to this level. It's that the decision you are taking now will get result in a couple of years. So if we decide to move on a new technology, okay, this technology most likely will not be developed before a couple of years. Then you need to reach the market. Then you need to scale or incubate the business. So it might take 3, 4, 5 years sometimes, right? So this is the difficulty of our job today. But no, the decision absolutely. It's I have in mind now that you're asking me the question. I have in mind very critical decision taken back 6, 7 years ago when I took over engineering. I remember, and that are paying off today. Actually, you can see today the great result of those decisions today, because it just in the time that it was needed to mature and to be implemented. So life is a matter of decision, Kevin. Absolutely.
Great. And you are a great success story, an expert who benefited from China's growth in 2005 and has now taken on a global role. But not everyone has had this opportunity. Many people working for international companies or in China are struggling in their careers, and the industry overall is facing challenges. So my question is, how much of your career success came from external factors like market conditions and your company's performance overall, versus how much you personally influence those outcomes?
Company has always been amazing when it comes to my personal development. Okay, so of course, you are in China. Of course, you are visible. Of course, you perform. Okay, but again, they could have dropped the ball at some point of time, right? So, but despite all the challenges, okay, that we could have through the year, and we got the crisis in 2008, we got the crisis in 2018, we got the COVID in 2021, 2022, and company has decided to continue to invest in its key stakeholder, and I was obviously one of those. So, company has been always amazing in supporting that, and I think that's something that is also a must for people like me to be successful. Okay, you cannot be successful with the great support that you receive from the head office. Then after, geopolitics is of course part of the daily agenda. Okay, we got again a big one this weekend. Okay, and on rare earth, and as being head of engineering, it's definitely a big topic for us. Again, the choice that we have made is given the fact that for automotive, China is today the place where we are seeing the biggest market, where we are seeing now benchmark trends in many aspects: speed, lead time, commercial success, technology, and innovation. This is the place to be for myself. Okay, and there is no better place for me today to be, given the fact that again we want to continue to improve and to get this sustainable growth that we are engaging with the company. So the other thing that is very important, that what it could change is, it's when it comes to strategy, what to develop, what and where, and we are seeing OEMs changing their own strategy. Okay, accepting or not product or development coming from certain country, and it's something that we are watching obviously on a daily or weekly basis. And and our strategy might change given those new rules, but the route is there, and we are today. We don't put obviously all our eggs in the same basket. So we have an overall footprint that is being defined to make sure that we have the right talent and we are developing the right product at the right place at the right time. And that's something that we are working on as we speak today.
What would you say has been the major difference with your company? What made your head office maintain such a strong interest in China and commitment to the markets? Did the local team build trust and work on relationships, or did headquarters proactively show interest, visit regularly, and stay well educated on what was happening in China? We hear many stories of international companies, very strong globally, that eventually get tired or exhausted by the challenges the Chinese market represents and decide to decouple or disengage from China. What set your company apart?
So one, it's very important for China to understand the rule of the game of the headquarters. That's the first thing. Okay. Second, as I mentioned before, showing alignment and the right level of transparency has been always very, very critical. Networking and communication, as I mentioned already as well. One piece that I wanted to add is really to show one vision, one voice, and consistency from China has also helped very, very much the trust. Of course, the performance. China has been performing very, very well over the past couple of decades. So the trust has automatically increased. And, it was done step by step. And we are also, our head office is extremely open. Okay. The openness from the head office is also a key enabler to that success. We have also, so our head office has also international experiences. A couple of my peers at the EMT level work themselves in China. Okay, so they know the ecosystem here, and it's a common voice from our CEO, and I love to hear our CEO saying that is that Autoliv in China is a Chinese company. Okay, that's the way that we like to be seen. Okay, so we try really much to take the best out of it overall.
Since you arrived in China, the world has changed significantly, and China's role has evolved dramatically. How do you see the opportunities that China represents for international companies, whether they're working in China, with China, or from China? And what about the potential threats coming from local players and domestic players?
First of all, China market is from very far the first one for automotive. So that's not a place where you cannot be. That's what I think. Okay. First of all. Second of all, I also think that, regardless Autoliv or not, I think that it's very much important to be where things are happening. Okay. Such as we can understand the rule of the game. For us being here for so many years, okay, it allows us to understand the market. And we understand much, much better what the customer wants. And we understand also much, much better what the competition is able to do. And because we understand all this, okay, we understand much, much better the ecosystem, so we can take much, much better decision at the end of the day. So I love to see what I'm saying because I can understand much better the rules of the game, Kevin. And understanding those rules of the game, then I can play the game much, much better. People not being here cannot see the speed of the market. People not being here cannot see how efficient, cost-wise, could be Chinese companies. If you are not here, you cannot see how innovative can be Chinese company. Okay, so it is a threat in somehow because you can see the competition increasing, but at the same time because you see that, okay, then you can if you need react much quicker to what it is. You can sometimes learn from it and become much better than them at what they are doing. So I really think that it's the place to be to understand all those criteria. Also, on the innovation side, okay, the China market has now become a huge place for innovation. So we cannot only enjoy and see what the competition is doing, okay, but we can also get the best tool, we can get the best innovation out of the country. And I would just say, if you look at AI, for instance, today, if you get what's happening in AI, 50% of the best company are already from China when it comes to AI. So we can not only benefit from the ecosystem, we can also benefit from the additional strength that China is building over time.
That's very interesting. It comes down to talent now, right? I think there's been a pendulum shift. When you first arrived in China, there was a knowledge transfer. China was very interested in bringing skill sets and talent from international markets. Then Chinese companies became very interested in hiring strong, talented people from international companies. Do you see international companies now also taking an interest in Chinese local talents working now at local companies, or is it too soon to see this trend emerging?
You're talking about in China or overseas?
Both.
So definitively, in China, it's a very much local market today. Okay, and when you look at, I'm talking for automotive, by the way. I will not talk for the other markets, but you have here, I will say, 99.999% of what you need when it comes to skill set and leadership. Okay, if I look at Autoliv today, we are able to run the business with a very good local team, okay, that has been trained over the past many years that we've been here. So we started in China in 89, okay, 1989. So we have quite extended experience now here in the country, and we see needs time to time, but it's very 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 specific. Okay, as you mentioned before, we were taking before 5, 6, 10 expats from overseas to bring the culture and to bring the know-how. We have the culture and we have the know-how today. Okay, there is always specific topic, specific need where one or two expats might be needed, but it's very seldom now. Okay, very very seldom. Now what we see, okay, like back in the days, given the fact that Chinese OEM are moving overseas, okay, in the same way Western OEM moved to China in the 80s, we are now seeing the needs for more Chinese in a global manner. Okay, that's linked to the OEMs. Okay, so not only we are seeing the needs from the OEM, but the company, at least in Autoliv, we are seeing now more and more requests to get Chinese among the global positions, such as we can try to bring the China strength in a global manner. I am one example, okay, because I come from China in a global position, but we have now several cases where we are seeing more and more of our Chinese colleagues to move in global position, and that's absolutely great.
It's fascinating to see this trend shift within a single career span. I also notice you've also recently been attending an EMBA program. To what extent do you think this level of education is necessary to reach where you are? This is a question I receive often. Let's be honest. Should I pursue an MBA or an EMBA? How much has this program equipped you to get to where you are? Is it a requirement? What key lessons have you learned from it?
My case is a little bit special, Kevin. So I am an associate by education. So I stopped school 2 years after the baccalaureate. Okay, and I basically learned things by doing. So on-job training. That was the most of my career growth. Of course, the company has provided me also, all the proper training to be able to bring me to the vice president. When you learn by doing, okay, you miss structure. Okay, you miss structure. And the EMBA has definitively brought structure to me. So, when you learn by doing whatever your capability, it's like a puzzle, but everything might not be connected properly. Okay. Or you might not understand why a business case, or why a business case is okay because you have a number at the end, but you don't know why this number is the good one, if it makes sense. Okay, you cannot ask all the proper questions when it comes to marketing or when it comes to financials. After my MBA, so I got now all the dots that connected together, and I could put this puzzle together. Okay, that's what the MBA has told me. Okay, to put a real structure on top of my 25 years experience that I have in the company, among 10, 12 in executive position. So that's really what this MBA has brought to me. Now, is it a must or not? It's really helping you to think at a different level as well, okay? And the reason why is because you meet, usually during your EMBA, gorgeous people with very different experience that you can connect with, okay? You were talking about relationship before. Relationship in EMBA is usually a key asset as well. You have additional resources that can help you to become more successful. So anytime I receive a call from someone that wants to do MBA, I will ask always why, okay? And depending on the answer, that I will say that 80%, I will advise those people to perform the MBA. And again, it's putting a lot of structure around a massive amount of knowledge that you have accumulated, and it's very helpful in the thinking process that you need to have in such position.
Do you have any advice for leaders struggling to influence the head office or boards working in Asia and China? Any guidance you can share?
Again, I mentioned the key enablers. Okay, one key enabler to be successful. It's in French we say you cannot feed a donkey that is not hungry. Okay, so head office has to be open enough. Okay, I have many of my friends that have left their company because head office was completely closed to leave any freedom to or to listen. Okay, somewhere else at the region where they are coming from. So having an open head office is critical. Okay, that's the key enablers. Okay. Then as I mentioned, understanding the value of the company, understanding the culture of the company, understanding where the company wants to be long term, plus communication and networking. And I used to say feed. Okay, feed information to the head office is very critical. Such as we always make sure that alignment is there. Okay, the risk in any global role, okay, whatever with your head office or with your own people, is misalignment because you don't face each other at all. Okay, so communication is absolutely key here. Again, showing this one vision, one voice, and consistency is also very important. And at the end, performance is also, of course, helping very much the head office to open up doors or not to additional responsibility that you might want to have. So that's the key enablers for me that I'm seeing as being able to work closely and efficiently with a head office.
On the other side, what advice would you give to a board or a head office when selecting the right leader for China? Should it be an expat or someone sent from headquarters? Should you hire locally from a competitor who already knows the market? Should you choose a local leader? What would be your advice?
The leader that I saw failing in new position are the one not fitting the culture and the vision of the company. Okay, so that will be for me the first one. Okay, very difficult to say, difficult to assess. obviously, when you put someone. But this is for me the most critical. I've had leaders from all over the world almost, okay, in China. I had Malaysian initially coming from China, okay, so what we say Chinese, Malaysian Chinese, okay. I have Americans, I have Chinese, okay, and today I have today here in China we have Singaporean Chinese, okay, and all those leaders have shown the same characteristic, which is common value with the company, common culture with the company. Okay. And this enables trust to be built. And as soon as you have trust, then you can start to build much better foundation and business cases. So that's what I will really advise company to do. And I have great memories with all the bosses that I just mentioned, with all those guys, despite completely different backgrounds. So their common ground was to respect and to be aligned with the company culture and the company vision.
Yes, and obviously this is a topic that is very difficult, right? So the assessment of the culture fit and the leader. Indeed.
Because I mean, in those positions, everybody has been performing somehow. Otherwise, they would have not been in that position, right? So, I believe very much the soft skill will be much more important than the hard skill to select the right person. And I believe very, very much in soft skill. So that's the hard part of the selection process.
Right. And personally, do you use more intuition or do you use tools? How do you usually assess that?
Both. So the chemistry, I believe in chemistry. Okay. The different tests that you perform in those kind of processes also can help you to ask the right questions, if it makes sense. Okay. I've been through some tests by myself. Okay. So question might look weird because you have to tick the box for someone that you are absolutely not. Okay. I think both are important, and the test can definitely help you to ask the right question when it comes to try to identify personality. We have also set of questions that are good to ask when it comes to culture fit. So we've been through some great training when it comes to this matter. So a few things. So the test, the questions, and the intuitions are all for me part of the process.
Yes, not an easy exercise for sure. And
definitely.
Well, Fabien, thank you very much. I would have one last question to close, and to maybe more on a personal level. To which extent do you feel that your personal story has helped you to where you are in your career? May it be personal life, background, family support. To which extent do you feel that it has helped you and supported to where you are now?
I will more return the answer. It's for me to be able to stand where I am today would have not been possible without the family. So that's the people talk a lot about work-life balance, and it can be very different for some people. Okay, given what it takes. Okay, doing what I'm doing today without the support from my family back in France, or my family today in China, so wife and kids, or even my friends, okay, would have not been possible. So this has helped me definitively to take the right decisions, and it's like a safety net, if it makes sense. Okay, you feel a little bit invisible in what you are doing because you know that someone or something can back you up, basically, and that's what my family has done to me so far. So that's the support I got from them to be able to reach to that level today.
Fabien, thank you so much for sharing your journey and insights with us today. Your 27-year story with Autoliv, from France to China, from quality management to now CTO, is a masterclass in adaptability and leadership and building bridges between global strategy and local execution. I know our listeners will take away so much from your experience. So thanks again for being on Leaders in Motion.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. It's been a real pleasure, and hopefully this conversation has been helpful for the audience as well. And I look very much forward to our next discussion together. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Leaders in Motion. If the topics we discussed today resonate with your own leadership challenges or the conversations happening in your organization, I would welcome the opportunity to continue the discussion. We work with boards and leadership teams on questions like these: assessing international leaders, aligning global and local teams, building capabilities across regions. You can reach us at LYC Partners to set up a consultation. This podcast is produced by Melanie Hall, who helps leaders and organizations create strategic podcasts. I'm Karen Hall, and see you next time.